Hi there. Today we're going to talk about starting a painting in gouache. I'm going to make a little painting of this little cup. Once I've got a rough drawing established on the page, I run a wet brush over the entire thing. This relaxes the surface of the paper and makes it easier to use water-based media on top of it. Now I like to take really watered down paint and block in some big shapes. I'm not getting these colors or these values 100% right. I'm just covering up the white of the paper and laying in some broad generalizations about what's going to happen down the road. The downside of using paint with this much water in it is that your intensities and your values are really undependable. There's just not enough paint in this paint for it to hold its own. The upside is by starting really thin this way, is you can come back with thicker paint, and painting over this thin underlayer is very easy. So at this point in the painting, everything is really rough and very wrong. However, we already can see where our lightest lights are going to go, where our darkest darks are going to live, and we can see most of the painting taking shape. The way I like to work is to bring the whole painting from a rough state of starting all the way to finish at the same time. This means every part of the painting is responding to every other part of the painting as I go. That allows me to watch my color relationships in real time, and there's no surprises as the painting develops. This approach to painting is sometimes referred to as working from general to specific. It's certainly not the only way to make a painting, but I find it's the most dependable approach, and it's the kind I typically advise students to take. As I go on, you can see that I'm starting to use some smaller brushes, and I'm making some smaller marks. I'm also using the paint a little thicker. Using the paint in a thick, opaque way, as long as it's slack, allows me to roll that paint right on top of areas I've already covered with the thin paint at the beginning. This allows me to build my intensities, confirm my values, and get way more specific with my hues. And the great thing about working this way is that everything's been there the entire time. The painting started with all of its ingredients in place. So that means from there on out, it's always just a game of refinement. You step back and look and find the thing that looks like it needs your attention the most. That's what you deal with. You save the details for later, you get the big picture elements in place. So at this point, the painting is mostly done. I started with very general moves, and then I've slowly been getting tighter and tighter, using smaller brushes, making smaller marks, using thicker paint, so I can work small shapes on top of those larger shapes to bring out details and clean up edges. So here we are after about 40 minutes. Obviously, there's a lot of room to improve. We could tighten up on details, we could refine some edges, some of those colors need some tuning up, but I was hungry and getting a little fussy. And the great thing about working general to specific is that the painting is always done. It's just a matter of how well done it is.